Captain Tommy Scoville, and you know what that means? It can only mean one thing, that you are on the lifeboat. So, as I've told people in the past, I have done a yoga video. It's an intro to yoga video. There are a lot of poses. I was going to go through some of the basics. Here's the deal. I don't do 2 takes. I'm going to take Tommy. So, no pressure, right? Because if you blow a pose or you do whatever, then I would have to redo this. It's not going to happen like that. So if I blow a pose or if I step off, that's something that happens to people that do yoga, but we're going to keep this simple, huh? All right. So the basic poses we're going to go over today, these are the kind of things that you're going to need just to get started, right? Having some fun in yoga. The first one, right, is a sun salutation. And you're literally just stretching yourself, right? As high as you can. Now, here's the thing. You can put your hands above your head. Or you can reach for literally the highest point that you possibly can. To where you feel like you're trying to bring your shoulders to touch your ears. Oh, and then just let it come down and relax. And then kind of shake that out. And everything we do, we try to do the technique right. It doesn't matter if you hold it for an eternity, it doesn't matter. But the better you do the technique, it's pointless to learn anything and not do a good job doing it, right? But with yoga, this is more than exercise, right? This is something that, in theory, you want to use to quiet the mind, right? So we're going to do another sun salutation, right? Some of the names of these, I know I'm going to get emails from people that go, you know, this is a religion. Yeah, well, to me, it's an exercise. So let's not lose too much sleep, all right? All right, people, back up, all the way to the top, and extend it up just as high as you can. You want to breathe. Throughout the entire process of yoga, you always want to keep concentrating on breath. And it really becomes important when you start doing different poses, right? Not that big a deal when you're warming up and you're just getting those sun salutations going and you're getting the blood flowing. But when we're going to start doing some balancing and some things that require some micro stuff, you know? All right, so here we go. One more sun salutation and then we'll start partying around this campus. Up. Now, ladies and gents, none of this lazy stuff, right? We're not just putting our hands over our heads. We're literally, you're reaching to get as long as you can, right? You're elongating your body. Make sure you're not holding your breath, people. We really want to be bringing air in, pushing air out, right? This is a good thing. We're in recovery, right? You're pushing out stress. You're breathing in good stuff. You're pushing out bad stuff. You understand this concept? Should be, right? Should be. Now, the next thing that we're going to learn is the downward dog. This is a yoga move that a lot of other things sort of hinge on this. A lot of things are based, so you do a downward dog and then other things come off. This is one of the most basic moves. Now I'm going to show it to you front ways on the first of the 3 positions that I hold. Then I'm going to turn the mat on the last one so that you can see where the position of my feet are. Because when you do downward dog, right, the idea is we want to have our feet, in a perfect world, we'd like our heels on the ground. Now we're going to be breathing in. And breathing out. And you try to get about a 10 or a 15 second hold. All right. Now, walk it up. Shake it out. Relax. Now, I'm going to turn the mat. And we're going to do the next one sideways. Because I want you to get a look at my heels. This is what I mean by we want to do a good job on the poses and holding them. So, very often in downward dog, this is what you see, right? Now, this isn't what we're looking for. Now, it's very hard to try to start getting the feet down more, right? And the lower those heels get, the more you're going to start feeling it and really start burning, like behind the knees, this area right here, back through like the hamstring going all the way up. But ideally, you want your heels down. If you can get your toes up off the ground, you're killing it, because that's what we're trying to stretch. You follow me? Okay, but at least try to work toward getting the heels down. Maybe you have to get yourself, play with the positions, but you want to get into a comfortable spot where you can hold that. Now breathe. And for me, I let one leg go, sort of, and then walk my way up it. And then just kind of shake it out. And what you will find is that after you hold one of these poses, and you get up and you relax, think of it, if you're a weightlifter, you're between sets, right? You're gonna find that between these sets where you've had everything kind of clenched, you think yoga. I mean, you're not working out, right? You're just doing these poses. When everything is stretched, when that foot is like that, and you're feeling that burn up through here, as you let that go, it's like a buzz. There's a wave of relaxation right immediately when the pose is over that is just phenomenal, right? There's a reason that tens of millions of people do this every day, right? Okay, last one. Now, downward dog. We want to make sure, again, we're not up here, right? We want to be able to get those heels down onto the ground if possible. And then get those breathing in. Yeah, oh, that's the feeling. All right, people, now, we're feeling good, right? Boaters, how are we feeling? Feeling good? Excellent, excellent. My Montgomery Burns. That wasn't excellent. One of the best episodes ever was when he had a woman he was in love with. She was an older woman, but she dropped an excellent on him, and he says, "That excellent was excellent." I'm a big fan of Monty Burns. All right, people, now this is the one that you gotta get good at so that you can get a good picture for Facebook. Feel me? This is your Facebook shot. This is the tree pose. There's a couple of different ways you can do this, right? There are not 3 ways you can do this. There are a couple. The first is that you could put your foot here, right, on the bottom part of your calf. Here, below the knee. Where you're never going to put your foot is on the knee. Yeah? Bad juju. We do not want to be putting pressure on the outside joint. That's not why we're here. So we want the foot either up on the leg above the knee, or we want it down on the bottom. The idea in this pose is that in order to balance and hold yourself for, say, 30 seconds or 10 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever, the foot that remains on the ground, right, is having to do these micro adjustments. And every muscle, right, on that side of the body is having to do these micro adjustments. And what you have to learn to do is quiet the mind, okay, and chill out, because the more relaxed and focused you get, the less of that adjusting you have to do. And the less adjusting you have to do, the better a chance you have of actually holding the pose. So again, I am not going to be doing the lower tree, right? You can do this. If this is where this works for you, fantastic. Do it that way. Hold the pose, right? Do your count. I like to go a little bit higher, right? Now, I'm gonna have to adjust myself. I don't want anybody getting too bummed out, but it's the shorts. Kind of got to get skin on skin for me, right? If it gets onto the fabric, I'm not going to be able to hold the pose. So I kind of got to work with it here a little. All right, now here's our tree pose, and then you want to pick a spot in space and concentrate on it. Breathing in and breathing out. All right. Now, this one went all right. Sometimes they don't, and you lose your balance, right? You gotta throw a foot down, or you gotta do whatever. If you gotta do this, right? It's not the end of the world, people. Ideally, we do want to hold those poses for like 30 seconds, right? That would be lovely, or even a minute. And then, you know, the sort of the adjustment, you know, where you go from one to the other, showing off or whatever. Whatever makes you happy in yoga, for real. Like the tree pose, that was the basic things you do where I was standing there. If you want to play with it, if you're doing anything that is challenging you to remain in the focus, right, there are no rule books, right? Break it, have fun. We're screwing around. This is lifeboat yoga. Relax. Convict yoga. All right, now we're gonna go up, we're gonna do this again. So we're gonna get that heel. First of all, I'm also on brick. So make sure you got a good, that foot is gonna do all the balancing, okay? You wanna make sure you got a nice spot for that foot. Now, we get in place, and then we find our spot in space, and we go. Trying to quiet the mind. And I find that a lot of the benefit that I get from this is between my ears. It's really the chill out that I get. It's forcing yourself to concentrate and relax at the same time. There are other things that comes in really handy with. You know what I'm talking about? Frankie does. All right, last pose. Take as much time as you want in between them. And usually people do them in sets of 3. You can do whatever you want. If you're doing 1, if you're just starting, and if all you're doing is getting up and doing the pose for the first time, guess what? Connect. Connect with the camera. Get off your couch. Right? Stand up, do a sun salutation, do whatever. Let's start moving. I don't care what you're doing, let's start moving. Get up, get a little bit of motion in life. I promise you're gonna thank me later. Captain Tommy, good looking out, that kind of thing. I promise. All right, ready? We're going in and adjust the boys. And there we go. Find a spot. And then quiet the mind. And I'll be really honest with you. This is one of those things that when I'm really in the zone, right? When you get in and it starts to like, you really kind of get into the zone, you can leave wherever you're at. That spot in space that you're concentrating on, whether it's on the other side of a fence, with a pool between you and that fence, right? Or if it's a spot on the wall in a prison cell, right? The idea is gonna be the same every time. You're quieting the mind and all of the stuff that's going on around you, guys yelling, throwing lines under the door, screaming, cursing, all that's gotta fall away. Dude's building a house, right? I got a cat hanging on the door. All of these things, the job is to put all of that away, right? And then do your relaxation. Now, we just did the right side, okay? Most people will have a dominant side. They will be more comfortable on one leg than the other. That's normal. The goal, obviously, is to get to a point where you're comfortable on both, right? Ideally, you would be ambidextrous. Now, it doesn't always work that easy for most people. Most people do have a dominant side. And I'm one of them. I'm also standing in a different hole here. Let's see. Now, left leg. This one's harder for me, to be sure. So I find my spot in space. Hold on. I've been Johnny Scoville. Now we really got to make everything around you fall away. Come here. You're an excellent learning lesson here. This is the idea. The idea is that everything falls away, right? Everything falls away. And I got to find a spot.
like a glove?
Oh, my brother. That's my brother.
You're dead in the center.
But as I said,
you're dead in the center and you look great.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you. As I said, though, people, if you stumble, right, there's nothing wrong with that. Find that spot in space and start again. And then control the breathing. Now, if I was a beast, if I had been a beast, I'd have gotten through that with Johnny. He's mocking me right now. Down. Ah! The idea being constantly the micro balance. Now, you're probably going to get a better workout in the beginning, truthfully. The longer you do this, the more you're going to find that you need to hold the poses for longer periods of time to get the same effect. Because if you're rock solid, right, and nothing's moving, then there's not much micro adjustment. You're not flexing a whole lot. You're not having to do all of those millions of little independent small muscles firing to try to keep you balanced. So in the beginning, it's a little bit harder. It's more of a workout, and that's a good thing, right? Because that's what we're here for, right? We're here trying to get off of the couch, get off of the rack, whatever you're doing, so that we can actually start to make this process work some. And here comes the wind again. All right. Number 2. Find that spot, and quiet the mind. Now, the beauty is that with every single pose, like poker, right? Like anything else, the previous attempt is flushed down the toilet. I love the sound of palms in the wind. You hear that? Nothing else sounds like palms. It's just something so absolutely beautiful about that sound. I just recently trimmed the pine tree. I'll tell you a good story about that at a later date. But I have come to believe that these palm trees come in 2 varieties. One of them I tend to think of as, oh, I don't know, circumcised. And the other I think of as sort of not. We're going to do this and we're going to get this. Really? Well, now, in my defense, I have not done this on camera before today. Now, let's quiet the mind for this third one, shall we? Not my day on the left. All right, people. Gone. Dead, buried. My tree pose, a little stronger on the right side than the left side today. No big deal. Now, let's see. We did downward dog, we did tree. I'm trying to keep these things so that we're not... Tell you what we'll do. We will do a warrior pose. Warriors come in 3 varieties, right? There are a variety of warrior poses. This is another one you're going to see from the front, right? And then you will also see from the side. These things can be done in such a way that they burn you not at all muscularly. Or you can do this in such a way that you are absolutely on fire. And the question is going to be, how far out are you and how low are you, right? And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. But you want to breathe, you want to get your air in and out. If you're not concentrating on breathing, don't do yoga. Make sure you're extending your hands all the way up. All right, now, what we're going to do for the second one is, we're just going to turn this puppy sideways, yet again, so that you can see the warrior pose from the side. Now, again, when you go out, I did the right leg out first, right? So when you get out here, you can do it so that you are down, and this is as close to parallel as you can get. Follow me? if you're up here, there's not a whole lot of burn. Darn it. If you're up here, you're not burning much. But as you start getting down, and this is yoga in general, right? As you start getting down, you're gonna feel the burn through your legs in ways you won't believe, right? And then get into that position and hold it. That, people, burns like you wouldn't believe. That doesn't look like much of an exercise, does it? Aren't you tough guys? Right? All you tough guys, and you tough ladies, get off the couch and give me a warrior, right? Give me that first warrior pose. And no farting around, right? I want you to get in here and do this thing. So, we're gonna get out there. We're gonna get out there over that leg, right? And then we're gonna lock that into position. And we're gonna go up. And you can count if you want for me, because I'm not doing a lot of counting out loud. I find it's frustrating. But if you were just thinking while I'm talking, we've probably got a good 5 or 10 second hold in this, right? And then if we were to start thinking maybe going down from 10, whoa, there you go, a little bounce. But again, the burn, and there is some glute action in there. In case Hef was watching. Now, we're gonna do the same thing, right? Except, we're going to do it with the opposite leg in front. To spare you the time, right? It's like the people in the shows. I could just put this in the oven. No, I'm really gonna do it, I'm kidding. But, remember when you were a kid? I used to be fascinated by that. The morning shows, they would like be making a cake, and they'd be mixing the thing up. They stick it in the oven. 2 seconds later, they'd pull it back out. And I would always be like, wow, man. You know, when mom does that, it takes an eternity. All right, are you ready? Let's get into position, right? Get out there. Don't be loafing. Get out there and over your leg, right? So you really should be feeling it. Also, the leg that is out straight behind me, you ought to be feeling a good burn on that calf. A really good burn on that calf, right? Be in good position, people. Technique is, if you're not burning, you're not doing it right. Russ, do it right. Sorry. Now, I'm gonna do 2 forward. I'll turn the mat for the last one. And then we'll show off. I'll do a little show off yoga and we'll call it a day. All right. So left leg forward, way out there, right? Get it way out there and then go up, right? By the way, there's also, right? There's a bunch of these and we're gonna vary them in the next time we do this. But this is intro to yoga, Captain Tommy style. Convict yoga, prison yoga. If you don't like it, leave yoga. All right, last one is sideways. And we're then gonna leave the mat sideways for the rest of this show. And left leg out in front for the warrior pose. And again, we're gonna get way out there over the leg, and we're not gonna loaf. We're gonna try to hold this pose. Oh yeah. Feel the burn. I'm looking at Finger Mountain, where Alan Ballantyne almost killed himself. I'm kidding, it wasn't that bad. It did make a really hideous noise though when his head hit the rock. True story. All right. Now, normally, at this time, I would probably continue doing downward dogs into a series of other poses that all are based on warrior. Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3, and an exercise that was put together by the first guy that did P90X. It's a It's like a workout yoga, but you don't stop. You transition from one to the next, and we'll do that as we get rolling. But you kind of got to learn the poses a little bit before we do that. Now, at the end of every yoga session, right? You do this number here. This is child's pose. Absolutely one of my favorite things in the world, because right around the time you're here, right around the time you're here, the day's usually done. But just for some laughs, for all of you that have been keeping up, hand balancing, just for laughs, and just because if I fall, I'll fall on my head, and since we only do this in one take, you guys will get a kick at it. I'll do the first one facing you, and then I will do the other ones from the side if the first one works. Well, I guess that's a good. What do you know? I didn't even fall on my head. Okay, I'm gonna do the next one from the side, but this one, if you don't have thick wrists, this one can be a very, very painful exercise. I'm not gonna recommend you start on this one. You can fall very easily on your head, right? And we don't want that to happen. So when you do this pose, and you come in, I hope this doesn't, I don't want to turn the mat. But when you come in from this one, you want to balance it in such a way that if you make a mistake, you're going to come back down on your feet, not your head, right? You don't want to go that way. You want to go this way, right? So the idea being, keep more of the weight on the back until you get yourself balanced. You don't want to be going forward. There we go. Really got to get this mat under me. The hands on the bricks are a little rough. Let's do this. You know what? I'll turn from the other side, and we'll call this my third one. Then I can get out of here lazy style. But this is not one you want to try probably on day one anyway. Right? There is a little touch to the balancing ones. I've always liked them because finding the spot in space when it's 6 inches in front of your face, I find a whole lot easier. Quieting the mind. In this position, or any of these positions where you balance on the hands, I have always found those to be the easiest for quieting the mind. Now, just to stretch out before I go, this is one that if you've not done this is one you want to do with a towel originally. Start with a towel between your hands, right? So you can start way down here, and then you use the towel, keep climbing up until eventually you can get a hold of skin, and then, in theory, you should be able to, over time, start to actually work and get one of these numbers. These are things that, again, these are things that take a crap load of time, and I'm showing you just simply because I'm showing off. No other reason. There really isn't. And I got to tuck my shirt in for this last one there, because this is one of those things that if you don't have a shirt on, like I can't do this if I'm bareback, because the shirt, for whatever reason, really becomes part of this entire process. But they call this the reverse prayer, right? And the idea being that you're going to put your hands into a prayer position behind your back so that they're kind of like that, right? Now the trouble becomes the shirt, I didn't tuck it in right, and then it gets caught on your hands. and I would take my shirt off, but I know how you people get. But this is one that I probably worked on, I'm not kidding you, for about 6 months in prison, in a prison cell before I could get this one. And currently, the shirt is just giving me the business. I'll show you what I mean. As you start to go back like this, you see what happens with the shirt? So you go to get your hands up there, and the shirt gets in the way. Which is super frustrating, especially if you've been working on it for a long time. But this, people, is how I spent 34 months in the SHU, 14 of them on solitary confinement. Right? You don't have a whole lot of anything you can do. You're kind of limited with all the stuff that goes on around you. This mat's lovely, right? We used to use a towel, but the beautiful thing is you could do it right here, right? The only thing that you need for yoga is a desire to do yoga, right? And the patience to work on things like standing on your left foot, right? When the right one obviously is considerably more comfortable. It's that yeah, it's that never-ending battle, you against you, right? Trying to conquer the pose. And there are poses that are so difficult to do. There are poses that are literally impossible. You know, some of the hands ones, the one I just showed you is literally the most basic of the hand balancing. It's the easiest of the hand balancing. Some of them where you're like this and your body's sideways. We'll do some other of the silly show-off ones. I haven't really been, I've been doing really basic yoga. I do it every morning at about 4 a.m., 3:30, 4 a.m. But I'm not trying to push myself, I'm trying to stretch, but I'm gonna make a series of this and I'm going to push it. So this is going to be series 1, video 1 of Tommy's convict yoga. Krimi yoga, I think that's what Reese calls it, Krimi yoga, all right? I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This was The Lifeboat, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.